Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome back to Canard Boulevard. Today we are going to fly to Racine, Wisconsin. It's about a 3-hour flight there, probably about an hour and a half back. We got some pretty nasty headwinds going west. We're going to go take this wing off to have a look at the magnetometer, which is buried in between the strake and that wing. And we're going to go visit the original builder of this airplane. He's going to help me out with it. Coming up.
All right, gonna get the airplane pre-flighted and open the hangar doors, get everything pushed out and ready to go. This is just a one-day flight there and back, not staying overnight, so not a whole lot of prep to be done.
All right, that's nice. I've had the heat on all night because it's only 42 degrees out, and my oil temperature is already at 107. Nice to see.
I did a video last week on preheating your engine. You can see a link to it in the top right of the screen.
All right, let's program our avionics.
So I should explain what a magnetometer is. It's a magnetic sensor that senses what direction the airplane is pointed at, and mine is skewed. As you can see, it thinks the airplane is pointed 15 degrees to the right, and so it thinks I'm crabbing no matter what direction I'm going, and as a result, the wind speed it thinks it's seeing is wrong because it thinks I'm permanently crabbed. So we're going to fix that. I did recalibrate it over and over again and did a bunch of work back and forth with Garmin on this, and the end result is that they think the magnetometer is actually pointed 15 degrees off to one side. So we're going to have a look and see if that is in fact the problem.
Everything's in the green. Away we go.
Don't often get to see my propeller turning, and you can see it in the shadow projected ahead of me in this image here. Pretty cool.
Airspeed's alive. There's 50, 60, 55, and 70 and rotate. And gear up. Everything's still in the green.
I cranked the engine before I started it to distribute the oil because it hadn't run in a little while, and as a result my battery was quite a bit down, so I'm looking at the alternator current because it's very high, which is why I have a CAS warning light on. But as I start flying more and more, that comes down, so that's alright. But I was a little bit concerned at first. And now you can see the CAS lights turned off, so everything's fine. I had thought at first maybe I have to turn back, but once it came down and everything was fine, then I decided, okay, we're good to go.
Excessive. The voltages are okay, but drawing 38 amps. That's a little concerning. I did crank the engine for a bit before, so it's going to recover from that, but
Cleveland approach, experimental cozy, November 797 Delta Lima.
797 Delta Lima.
797 Delta Lima is just off of Medina, heading west towards Chicago. Actually, destination Kilo Romeo Alpha Charlie. Like flight following at 4,500, please.
November 7 Delta Lima, give me a type aircraft again.
Type is a cozy, Charlie Oscar Zulu Yankee.
November 7 Delta Lima, squawk 7472.
7472, 7 Delta Lima.
November 7 Delta Lima, you're going to contact 7 west of Medina Airport, altimeter 3005, straight into Bravo, maintain VFR 4500.
Clear through the Bravo, maintain 4,500, 7 Delta Lima.
so we're going to trudge along here at this fairly low altitude, 4,500 feet, and the reason for that is because my normal cruising altitude of around 9,000, we have a 42 knot headwind, so I'm going to try to avoid that. We still have a headwind down here, but the headwind down here is only about 20 knots rather than 47. So yeah, we're going to stay down here. We've got, I'm showing a 14 knot headwind component right now here.
No idea why my camera keeps cutting out, but I do have a new one, so hopefully that'll stop.
November 7 Delta Lima, contact Cleveland 126.35, good day.
2635, 7 Delta Lima. Cleveland approach, experimental cozy, November 797, Delta Lima, 4500.
Number 797 Delta Lima, Cleveland approach, Mansfield, altimeter 3007.
3007, 7 Delta Lima.
I thought, you know, it's a little bit turbulent. Good idea to turn off the autopilot, get some practice hand flying.
And 39, 4 miles, make it maintain 3000 till 7 tunnel, low flies are cleared, ILS runway 23 approach.
You don't want to fly all the time on autopilot because you can let your skills get rusty. So every once in a while I will do exactly this, and particularly when it's a little bit turbulent and I'm in cruise because it is sensitive to pitch, I will simply just start hand flying. And as you look at the chart, you can see the altitude and the speed isn't exactly perfect because it's a human flying rather than a machine.
And 39, tower 134.75, talk to you in a bit. Number 797 Delta Lima, contact Toledo approach 134.35, good day.
13435, 7 Delta Lima, good day. Approach, November 797, Delta Lima, 4500.
November 797 Delta Lima, Toledo approach, Toledo altimeter 3010.
3010, 7 Delta Lima.
So we're going to zip over a lot of this flat land of the Midwest. There's not a whole lot to see. There wasn't a whole lot of communications, just basically being handed off from one zone or center to another as I flew along towards Chicago. I got close to Fort Wayne. You can see I'm now passing into Indiana. And if I wanted to, I could actually zip down to Sweetwater there. And I did a video going to Sweetwater once before. Once I get close into Chicago, I'm going to turn up and go around the outside on the west side of their Class Bravo. I had thought about going up through the VFR corridor, except there was a presidential TFR sitting on top of Chicago, which was going to preclude doing that. So I'm going to have to go around the far way, which makes this trip a little bit longer because, like I said, I was fighting headwinds.
Cozy 7 Delta Lima, contact Chicago approach 128.2. Have a good day.
128.2 for 7 Delta Lima, thanks.
And when you call up Chicago, the number one thing they want to make sure that you get through your head is stay out of their airspace.
Chicago approach, Cozy November 797, Delta Lima, 4500.
Cozy 797 Delta Lima, Chicago approach, midway altimeter 3009, remain outside of Class Bravo airspace.
3009 and welcome.
So here I go. I'm going to zip around the south end of Illinois and Chicago here. I'm right on top of Gary, Indiana, right there. And then once I get past the center core of the Chicago Class Bravo, I'm going to turn north.
Chicago approach, November 797 Delta Lima, going to descend to 3,500 to go underneath the Bravo.
7 Delta Lima, roger. 7 Delta Lima, contact approach on 133.5.
133.5, 7 Delta Lima, good day.
5 Bravo, Quebec, sliding 180.
And approach November 797, Delta Lima, 3500.
Cozy 797 Delta Lima, Chicago approach, midway altimeter 3010, remain outside of Chicago Class Bravo airspace.
3010 will remain outside the Bravo, 7 Delta Lima.
As you can tell, my radio in my side tone is still scratchy on certain frequencies, but what it's transmitting is perfectly clear. I've listened to myself on live ATC, and the transmissions are nice and clear. It's just what I'm hearing and recording in the airplane that are kind of scratchy, and only on certain frequencies.
Racine traffic, experimental Cozy, November 797, Delta Lima is 10 to the southwest inbound, landing straight in 04, Racine.
Racine Airport, SA, moving for the ramp and off all runways evacuated, Racine Airport.
I know it's not best adequate to just do a straight in, but actually, as you can see on my iPad, I was just doing a practice ILS here, so that's the reason I was going straight in. Plus, there was absolutely no other traffic in the pattern when I was coming in, so I did my practice ILS just getting in, practice running the avionics and doing an ILS into Racine. Not too gusty coming in here today, so it was not too bad a landing at all. And I was able to use the entire runway and not have to use up my brakes. That sound you hear in the background is my phone. It's my wife calling me on short final. What a distraction. I just ignored it.
Canard 734 fax, I go upwind, run my force.
Once I was down, it's time to taxi over to Daryl's hangar. This is the birthplace of this cozy. Daryl is the original builder. You can see him standing there waiting as I am taxiing up. The plan is to pull the left wing off the airplane, which gives us access to the magnetometer, check to see if it's properly aligned with the longitudinal axis of the airplane. If it is not, then fix it, and then put the wing back together. It takes a few people to do that job, so that's why I flew here, so we could do it together. Tens of thousands of people watch my videos, but would you believe, of those tens of thousands of people, only 20% of you are actually subscribed to my channel? Let's fix that. Click on that subscribe button now. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Thanks. Now it's back to the video. As you can see here, Daryl is building an RV-12 IS, I believe, in his hangar. Unfortunately, I did set up a time-lapse camera in the hangar and the battery died, so I didn't get any footage of pulling the wing off or putting it back on. You can see the magnetometer here. That is after the wing was off, and you can see it in its mounting point here. That has to be all non-ferrous mounting bracketry. And you can see it was, in fact, off by 15 degrees. So I removed it, rotated it 15 degrees, remounted it, and then we put the wing back on and went out, recalibrated the magnetometer. Time to go home.
Racine traffic, experimental cozy 797 Delta Lima, departing 04.
And just taxiing out now, I could tell that the problem was fixed, because now that I'm tracking along the ground, the heading, the magnetic heading that I'm being shown on the G3X is identical to the GPS track. And previously, it was off by 15 degrees when I was on the ground. So you're not having any wind correction effects when you're on the ground. Now that they actually line up together, I know it's fixed. And when I got up in the sky, that was also reflected. It was showing up the correct heading every time I was flying in the sky, which is great that there was such a simple fix.
Racine traffic, Cham 619er, turning downwind, 04 closed traffic, Racine.
Alright, 55, 60, 65, and 70, and rotate.
Racine really does have a beautiful airport. Nice long runways, lots of instrument approaches, hangars are cheap. I kind of wish I lived in Wisconsin.
Racine traffic, experimental cozy 797 Delta Lima is downwind for 04. We'll be departing off the downwind to the west. Racine.
Traffic Cham 619er, short final, 04, touch and go, closed traffic.
As I climbed out and started getting some altitude, I started seeing that my heading was showing a significant crab with a lot of wind, and I thought, oh no, it's not fixed. But actually, no, it was fixed. There just was a ton of wind, and I was crab, so it was showing correct.
Chicago approach, experimental cozy November 797 Delta Lima.
797 Delta Lima, Chicago approach.
797 Delta Lima, 9,500. We are 10 miles northwest, northeast rather, of Bessie. Like flight following to 1 Gulf 5. 9,500. Type is a cozy Charlie Oscar Zulu Yankee.
For 7 Delta Lima, squawk 5153.
5153 for 7 Delta Lima.
For 7 Delta Lima, your radar contact 37 miles northwest of Airport. The O'Hare altimeter 3008.
3008, 7 Delta Lima.
797 Delta Lima, I just said where you start your track there. Can you just verify your type and your destination for me?
Type is Charlie Oscar Zulu Yankee. Destination is 1 Gulf 5 for 7 Delta Lima.
Okay, thanks.
Flying back at 9,500 feet, I was trying to make the best of the wind that was behind me. Unfortunately, the wind was nowhere near as strong as it was on the way out, so all the benefit that I was hoping to get from a tailwind that I gave up in fighting a headwind on the way out, I didn't really get as much back as I could have. If I had done the trip in the opposite direction, it would have been even better, unfortunately. Racine is an hour after. We have the different time zone. They're in Central Time, whereas I'm in Eastern. So even though I left it relatively early, I'm getting home later than I probably would have liked originally. As a result, you can see it's going to start getting a little bit dark. We're going to get into dusk. Now, you can't tell it right away. You can see some of the sun from behind me as it sets, shining on the front of the console there. But as you look, the instruments seem to be getting brighter and brighter, and that's because the camera is adjusting for less and less light outside. And as it gets darker, it looks the same on the screen, but the displays on the panel get brighter.
7 Delta Lima, contact Cleveland, approach 128.35.
128.35, 7 Delta Lima, thanks.
Yep. Maintain VFR 5,500, plan runway 6 left.
Maintain 5,500 and we'll plan for 6 left, Scarlet 01.
Cleveland approach November 797 Delta Lima 9,500.
797 Delta Lima, Cleveland approach well, altimeter 300 maintain VFR to below 8,000.
3009, 7 Delta Lima, and if it's okay with you, we'd like to start down now.
Outer below 8,000, 5 minutes, I get you in my airspace, outer below 8,000, you're close to the Bravo.
Outer below 8,000, through to the Bravo, 7 Delta Lima.
And now you can see we're getting well into dusk, and the visibility is not fantastic, but that's okay because we are almost home, and I know exactly where I am.
Traffic experimental Cozy 797 Delta Lima, 5 mile final runway 9, full stop.
And as I like to do at night, I'm doing an instrument approach here.
And there's Jetra. Send to 1700.
It's not that I need to do an approach for visibility or anything, but it means I'm going to have obstacle clearance.
Gear down. Gear down to go down. Gas, undercarriage, switches, seatbelts, landing light.
There are quite a few tall towers around here, and they often have their lights out of service, so better safe than sorry at night.
100 feet to go.
That's 100 feet to go to my MDA, minimum descent altitude.
There is it. Minimums.
500.
Continue. Breakdown.
See that tower off to the left? Yeah, me either. That's why I do instrument approaches into this airport at night. The METARs from the surrounding airports were reporting that the winds were favoring this runway, which is why I picked this runway to land on. As it turns out, once I got on the ground, it turns out there were no winds at all, so I could have and should have actually landed on the opposite runway 27 because it has an operating PAPI and this one does not. And that PAPI will actually give you a visual glide slope in, and you know you're going to have clearance all the way down to the threshold. And that's it. That's my trip to Racine, Wisconsin. Pulled the wing off, fixed the magnetometer, flew home. I apologize for not having the wing time-lapse removal and installation. The battery just died in the camera, and I was hoping it would have kept what it had recorded up to that point, but nope, it just lost everything, which was really disappointing because I was really hoping to have that video showing the wing coming off. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and click like on this video, subscribe to the channel. Really, really helps me out when you do that. I really appreciate all the people that subscribe to the channel. Please do it now. Thanks for watching.